Hi, I'm Helen and I'm an actress, or at least I used to be before COVID. And being an actress, I've had to learn how to analyse my own thoughts, figure out why I'm thinking certain things, think about different emotions, and also study the same in other people. And then you can realise and put together a character, and it helps with the acting process. So also by doing this and going to lots of different teachers and doing different courses, I found out quite a lot of helpful information, not just for my acting career, but for real life, normal life. And I think especially at this time, everyone pretty much must be in a confused state, possibly fearful, depressed, suffering, not coping very well. So I wanted to pass on the things that I've learned in the hope that it will help you, the things that I've implemented in my life that have helped me, and I wanted to be able to pass that on. Now, if you find that the things that I'm talking about don't resonate with you and you don't agree with them, then that's absolutely fine. And I wish you all the best, but ask you to be kind, respectful. Please move on. Don't take it personally. Okay, so to start with, I've mentioned fear. So there's a lot of that happening at the moment, and you might be picking up on the energy of that fear, even if you're not quite sure why you're feeling the fear. Also, just before I start, I wanted to just say that I've written all of this down, so if I don't look directly at you, I apologise for that. But I want to make sure that I say all the things that I want to say in the correct way. Now, I'm not talking about the fear that comes as a result of immediate danger. You know, that fear is very useful, okay? That can help you save your life depending on what kind of situation you're in. I'm talking about the kind of fear that's a result of thinking about what might happen in the future. So a lot of fear just comes from the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. So you start thinking about all the things that could happen, and fear comes in. And the brain and ourselves, we want to constantly reassure ourselves that we're safe, you know, that we are able to control our situation and our environment, and then that makes us feel safe. So when that control is taken away and you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what the future's going to hold, it makes us feel really unsafe and fearful. So the way that I've found this is helpful, and from ways that I've learned from different teachers and courses, is first of all, don't focus on the future. And everything, how do you not focus on the future? Well, the way of doing that is to focus on the present moment. Try to live in the now. And you say, oh, that sounds really easy. But it's not. It's a continuous process. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But if you look at like children, young children and animals, they do this naturally without even thinking about it. Whatever happens in the now, they just go with it. So that's what you kind of, you know, you've obviously done that before because you've been a young child before. It's getting back to that. We've kind of moved away from it, and it's not served us too well. So if you observe the children and the animals, you will see that they live in this constant present moment. So you need to change the way you think about things and get into a habit of living and thinking in the present moment. It's not going to happen overnight. Just take practice. So one way of doing that is, or you can just do this now, is to just stop, take a moment, take a breath, just observe and become an observer of your surroundings. Become an observer of yourself as well. Observe your body. And just feel the stillness of the air around you. And the stillness will always be there, even if there's lots of mad things going on. Feel the stillness through your feet in the floor. Put your feet flat on the floor. And just breathe and just feel, and you've automatically done it. You've automatically gone into the present moment. You can even feel things around you, or just notice the stillness of things around you. And just breathe. And in that moment, as you've taken a step back from life, essentially, and stopped your brain thinking about past events or future events, you just feel safe. You just feel happy in that moment. And you can feel whatever you want to in that moment. You can experience whatever. So that's great. But then you need to keep practicing this, so eventually that this becomes your normal way of dealing with life. That is, of course, unless there's any immediate danger, like I said before. And then, but if there is an immediate danger, if an immediate danger does come into your present moment, you are more present, you're more available to deal with that danger than if your mind was somewhere else, thinking about future or past events, not concentrating on what's happening. And I think in many situations that I've had, my mind has been elsewhere and things have come as a massive shock to me. Whereas if I'd been more in the present moment, more aware of what was going on, I'd be more attuned to what was going on, and things wouldn't have been quite as much of a shock. So, fear also stands for false evidence appearing real. So what that means is that fear is essentially an illusion. And it's an emotional reaction by your brain that's trying to protect you from future events. So the predictions are based on your past experiences in your life and the trauma. And this may be a distortion of the actual reality. Like I said before, if you're not quite attuned to what's going on, things can come at you in a certain way and you're shocked by it, whereas if you were attuned, somebody else might react differently. So it's not always, and I'm not saying in any way that, you know, somebody is not with the situation or kind of a little bit crazy. Not at all. But what I'm saying is that everyone has a different perspective on different realities. So, and they then form different beliefs based on their past experiences, which can be exaggerated situations, and you know, your brain can think up all these situations that most likely will never happen, but you're worrying about them, you're feeling fearful about them because they could happen, but actually in reality they probably won't. So this is another thing to think about. So an example of this is when you notice someone having an overreaction to a certain situation, a bit like I've just mentioned. So your reaction to that situation might be quite calm compared to the other person, and you can't understand why. Why are they overreacting like this? It's just, they're crazy, they're mad. But no, it's because of their past experiences and their belief system of those experiences. Because if they've experienced something in the past which is very similar, and the brain goes, uh-oh, this is very similar, they can think they're in a lot more danger than they actually are. So that's why they're overreacting. And you know, notice that in yourself as well. It's very important to be understanding of other people. And then, you know, you become more understanding of yourself as well. They go together. So it's important to remember that everyone has a different life and different experiences and different reactions to those experiences. So going back to the exercise, just by stopping, breathing, becoming aware, taking a step back from everything. We don't really do that in life. And just becoming aware of everything. That is the most important step, becoming aware of what you're doing, of what you're saying, of what you're thinking. If you're not aware of it, then you have no control over what's going on. You now have no control about your thoughts going round and round and round and round in circles, thinking whatever they want to think. So a good trigger to remember this, I mean, if you can do it by just purely remembering every day, then that's brilliant. But a good trigger is when you experience an emotion, especially a strong one. When you are feeling any emotion, just stop. Just stop. Some fear comes in, whatever, just stop. Take a breath, take a step back. Become aware of what's happening in your body. Where is that emotion? Does your chest feel tight? That happens to me when I feel fear and anger. Where is that emotion in your body? Just have a think and feel. And just by doing this exercise, just by going, what am I feeling and where is it? It just lessens that emotion ever so slightly. Once you've managed to reduce that emotion a little bit, might be a lot, might be a little bit, and you're able to disconnect from it, you're able to think more clearly. And I know this from experience. When I go into a state of anger, fear, shock, my mind just does not function. I cannot think clearly. I can't even remember what my name is. It's ridiculous. I'm really in a fight flight state, and that's not good to help you make decisions or to be able to react to the situation. So if you can, obviously depending on the situation, if it's very dangerous, you need to get the hell out of there, then do so. But yeah, most of the time you can just take that step back, breathe, take yourself away from the situation if you have to, and get yourself out of that fight or flight mode. You're able to think more clearly then, and you're able to look at the actual facts surrounding the situation. So not what you are experiencing in your body and your mind, not what you think might happen, but the actual reality, the actual facts of what's going on. And then, let me just scroll down my page. You can start to analyse the situation better. You can start to ask questions about the situation. So why am I feeling this emotion or emotions? Because you can not just have one at a time. What is the current situation triggered in me from my past experiences to create my current reality and my reaction? So I'll say that one more time. What has the current situation triggered in me from my past experiences to create my current reality and my reaction? And your brain will give you answers to these things, and then you can start to deal with what's going on. And if you can try and think also, where has that, picking fear for example, where has that fear come from? Is it your fear, or is it somebody else's? Somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's words that you're remembering creating that fear? For example, a parent, a friend, somebody on the news, anything. They could be somebody else's words, somebody else's fear. You're taking on someone else's fear. And if you notice that, you can then go, oh, that's not mine. No, thank you. Okay, and then you can think calmly as you can. This might not just be, just take a step back, take a breath, and you're fine. You might need to do other things. You might need to go for a walk. You might need to put on some uplifting music. You might need to have a cup of a hot drink or whatever. Whatever works for you. Have a nice hot bath. Come back to it the next day if you can leave it that long. Calm yourself down, whatever works for you. So when you're calm, you can think properly through all the possible situations, all the possible outcomes from what's going on. And if you can think through what the worst case scenario would be and go, that is the worst case scenario. There's lots of other possibilities, that's just one. If that was to happen, would I be able to handle it? And 9 times out of 10, you probably would. Maybe even 10 times out of 10. Okay, when you actually have to face a certain situation, you're much stronger than you realise you think you would be. When you're thinking about it, you're like, I can't do it. Like when I have to go on stage, I get very, very nervous. But once I'm on stage, once I'm actually dealing with the reality of the situation, I'm fine. And that worst case scenario is only one option. So the odds of that happening are probably very, very low. But having a clear mind and being in the present moment is going to make you be able to deal with that much better. And also having a clear mind is going to give you a much better chance of making one of the best choices that you can moving forward. Also, I found that many times what you think people are thinking about you is not actually what they're thinking about you. You think, they must think this, they must think that about me because of whatever. But so many times, I've kind of realised, or someone's told me, or whatever, the situation's come to light, and they've gone, they didn't think that about me at all. So just be very, very careful about what you're thinking of yourself and what you're thinking other people might think about you. And really, other people, everyone, has so many problems, have all these thoughts going on in their head that are criticising themselves. They have so much going on that they're probably not thinking about you. They probably don't have time to think about you most of the time, unless they're being unless they've got so much going on and that they're firing and attacking other people, because that's the only way they can control their own suffering. So, and then you can kind of go, well, actually that's, I'll come into this a bit later, but you can kind of take a step back and go, that person's suffering, that person's lashing out because they're suffering, and that's actually, I feel sorry for that person. Also, fear, the emotion of fear is just like excitement. So it's just got a positive twist on it. So instead of telling yourself you're scared and you're frightened, just go, it's just a decision. I'm not scared and frightened, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the unknown's going to bring, but I'm really, really excited. And it feels a bit scary, but if you change it to excitement, tell your brain it's excitement, not fear, you have a whole different outlook. Now, your thoughts are very, very powerful. They create your own reality, as I've kind of mentioned earlier. So it's very important to be aware of your thoughts as much as possible. Now, it takes practice. Whenever you remember, check in. What are your thoughts saying and doing? What are your thoughts saying about yourself? And then by realising what's happening and what your brain is doing, maybe without you even realising it, is you start to navigate potentially difficult situations better by doing these kind of certain things I've mentioned. Now, a very good way to practice this and to stay calm is meditation, ideally every day or more than once a day, whatever suits you. It's a great way to take it's a little bit what we just did with the taking the step back, but to a bigger level. It's a very good way to take a break from life, take a step back, have time out just for yourself. Calm, stop your thoughts, because your thoughts, your brain is thinking all the time. It's constantly, whether you're aware of it or not, it's constantly thinking. So if you can just put a pause in those thoughts for a little bit, even if it's for tiny little moments and glimpses when you start meditating, then you can start to just have this sense of calmness about you. You can stop your thoughts running away with themselves. And there's lots of different ways that you can meditate. I'm not going to go into that in this video. But you should make sure that you're nice and grounded when you do the meditation. So you might find sometimes in daily life that you don't realise this is happening. But if you take that step back, you might go, oh, my thoughts and my thought pattern is leading me in like a downward spiral. I've had this. I suppose everyone has. You start thinking of something, oh, that's really bad. Think of something else. Oh my God, what if this happens? And then this happens and this happens. And you go into this spiral and this negativity consumes you. And you find yourself going down, 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 down into this really negative state and thinking about really bad things. When in reality, your first thought wasn't that bad. So if you can be aware of that, you can stop it happening. So your subconscious mind, you've got two minds. You've got your conscious mind, which is what I'm using right now, and my subconscious mind, which is, helping the blood go around my body, doing all kinds of, helping me breathe without me thinking about it, all that kind of stuff. That subconscious mind thinks that what you think about most is important to you. So I'll just say that again. So the subconscious brain thinks that what you think about most is important to you. So what that means is, if you're thinking certain thoughts like, oh, I hate how I look. I hate how I look. Oh, every time you look in the mirror, or every time you touch yourself, you feel you're a bit of fat here, or you go, oh, I don't like this part of my body, I don't like this part. And you're constantly saying that to yourself, possibly without even realising you're doing it. Your subconscious brain will go, oh, that's a very important thought. I need to provide you with more of those thoughts, or thoughts to back up what you're saying. Because obviously what you've just said, I hate how I look, that's a really important thing. So we need to give you thoughts and validation that what you're saying is true. But that's not very helpful. But if you go, oh, if you change that, if you realize, become aware that that's what you're doing, you change that to go, I love how I look. And you might not, the process of changing this is affirmations, which I'll come on to in a minute. But if you can say, I love how I look, I love how I look, I love how I look, more or as much as you're saying, I hate how I look, it will start to cancel it out. And your brain, your subconscious brain, will provide you with more thoughts and more evidence to back up the statement, I love how I look. So you kind of see how it works. So you need to make sure, you need to be aware of what your brain's doing. So if you say, I hate how I look, the subconscious mind will go, yeah, that's true. You do look awful. If you go, oh, I love how I look, it'll go, yeah, that's true. You look amazing. So you decide which one you get to experience. So both statements are true, depending on what you believe. And this is what I was saying earlier. A good way to reprogram, so you need to reprogram your brain because you've been put into this world and certain things have gone in there as a child and as you've grown older, and you're programmed a certain way. Some are good, some are not so good, like this one I'm just talking about. So you need to reprogram yourself. It's not just going to happen. You need to practice, put effort in. And one of the ways of doing that is affirmations, positive affirmations. So, I am beautiful. I am confident. I am healthy. Very important right now. I am happy. I love and approve of myself. You say these things, the subconscious mind will go, oh, let's give more evidence to back up that statement. More evidence, more evidence. And you don't even have to believe what you're saying at the start. Because I've done this and I haven't. I've gone, oh, how can I say that? I don't believe it. But just say it. Just say it and it will start to come into your system. You will start to accept it. The resistance will start to lessen and you'll start to accept the statements. Now, make sure that the statements are I am statements. They are very, very powerful. I am. It brings you back to you. I am confident. I am healthy. I am happy. I love and approve of myself. I know the last one's slightly different. And I would recommend saying, so pick one, whichever one you think is most important. And I would say that for 10 minutes every day. And do it for as long as you can until you get into a habit of doing it. Until you feel it's starting to work. Now, you don't have to do this. Of course you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But it's not going to work as well if you don't do probably about 10 minutes every day. And as I said, you don't need to fully believe it to begin with, just do it. Be careful not to use statements like, oh, I am not sad, I am not ugly. Because the brain doesn't hear the not. It doesn't hear the I am not sad. It doesn't hear the not. It just hears I am sad. I am sad. So you're thinking in your conscious brain, you're thinking I'm doing a good thing by saying I am not sad. But your subconscious brain just goes, I am sad. Doesn't hear the not. Okay, so just be aware of that. Don't make sure you just do positive statements. I am happy. Okay. Now, doing this exercise, I know from my own experience as well, it can bring up emotions. It can bring up resistance. You might cry. You might reject doing this. Oh, I can't do it. Just be really, really kind with yourself. Just be really, really gentle. Take a step back. Leave it for the moment. Come back to it another time. Okay? But by those things coming up, they've been suppressed. They need to come out, those things. They are wounds. And by those things coming out, by those emotions and that resistance, let it come out. Let it come out. You're heading in the right direction. You're healing yourself. Okay? But as I said, be gentle, be kind with yourself. Don't think, oh, I've got to get through this. I've got to keep going. No, if it's too much, if you're becoming overwhelmed, which I'll come to in a minute, stop. Be easy with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Take a step back. Go, oh, it's okay. Let that emotion come through. You feel it, experience it, then let it go. And an emotion's just that. It's just an emotion. It's just a feeling that passes through you. You need to not reject it. You need to feel it. You need to deal with it. But then you need to let it go. Don't hang on to it. Okay? How long it takes for it to pass through you is up to you. Be aware if you are holding on to it. Take a breath. Surrender. Get rid of that emotion. Do whatever. Physical exercise. Whatever you need to get rid of that emotion. So like joy and love, feeling anger can feel good. It can feel good to feel anger. You may believe, yes, I'm getting revenge on someone. For example, I'm going to be angry at that person because they've hurt me, and by being angry, I'm punishing them. No, no, you're just punishing yourself. Don't. Try and let go of it. If you're being angry in that moment with somebody else that you're going to see in the future, and you think, right, I'm going to say this, this, and this, and this, reality is, and this is from my own experience, when that situation comes up, it might not appear as well, which is frustrating because you've thought about it so much. When that situation comes up, it might not be how you imagined. You might not get to say what you wanted to say, or you might get hurt even more. But by, in this moment, feeling anger and hurt, all you're doing is feeling anger and hurt. You're not getting revenge. You're not. You can think through, once you calm down, you can think through the practical things and things, the steps to take in the future. But holding on to that anger in that moment, it's not doing you any good. Okay, so learn to let go and replace it with a different response. Replace fear with love, if you can. Be aware, what am I experiencing in this moment? I'm feeling fear. Okay, get rid of the fear, do the exercise, breath. What if I was to go forward now in any of my actions, future actions? What if I was to go forward with love? What would happen? How would I feel? What would my experience be? Just try it. Just ask those questions. So when you are experiencing a negative emotion, try and turn it round. Just like I've said, what would happen if I choose to come from a place of love instead of any other emotion I'm experiencing, any negative emotion? And your subconscious, it will provide you with answers. You always have a choice. Always. You are in control of your own mind. You're in control of your own thoughts, or you can be, once you learn and practice how to do that. The choices presented to you at any given moment may not be good, may not be nice, they may not be easy, but you still have a choice. Just remember that you always have a choice. Now, it's very important to be honest with yourself. You can't hide from yourself. When you try and hide and cover up problems, pretending that they're going to go away by themselves, it doesn't really work. I know. It's happened to me. It just causes you pain because you haven't dealt with it, and then it comes up again. It's like arguments I have. You don't deal with the problem. I'll get rid of it, forget about it, it's fine, doesn't matter. No, pops up again. Okay, so be honest with yourself. Try and deal with things as they come up if you can, or know that you are dealing with it in your current situation. So by doing that, by facing the problem head on, you can change it. You can deal with that, and that actually is really empowering. So if you're blaming somebody else for your situation, you're going, oh, it's that person's fault that I'm like this. You have no control. You give away your control. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you go, no, I'm in control of how I feel. I control what I think and what I feel. Nobody else does. So that person might have done me wrong. That person might have said something not nice that hurt me. But I'm in control. And I'm going to take responsibility for myself. And then you get your power back. That is empowering because you can do something about it. If you give away your power, if you blame somebody else, nothing you can do. You take it back and go, right, how can I change this myself? You take responsibility for yourself. And you go, I can now forgive myself, because you'll start blaming yourself then. If you don't blame somebody else, oh, it's my fault, blame yourself. No. Forgive yourself, be kind, and go, right, how can I now move forward? How can I learn from this? Okay, I'll come into this a little bit more later on. So you are stronger than you know. So many times, there must have been experiences in your life where you've done something and you think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. And that's it. You think, because of fear or whatever, you think you can't do something, but you can. You're stronger than you know. And as I said about the control thing, bringing it back to you and being able to do something about it is actually not only empowering, but it's a huge sense of relief. It's like, oh, I can do something about this situation. I don't have to feel sad or hurt or controlled. I can do something about it. Always, always be kind with yourself, be gentle with yourself, and forgive yourself. I'll come on to forgiveness a bit later. Everyone's constantly learning, okay? The only way that we move forwards is by making mistakes. It's impossible to go through life thinking you're never ever going to make a mistake. Because if you don't make a mistake, how do you know which path to go down? The mistakes help you to go forwards in the right direction. So if you're making these mistakes, everyone else is. So just try to be compassionate towards yourself and towards other people. And, everyone's having these lessons. So look at them as lessons instead of mistakes. What have I learned from that? What lesson have I learned from that so-called mistake that I called a mistake in the past? But now I'm looking at it and going, well, what lesson have I learned from that? How can I move on forwards, not make the same mistake again? And what has that taught me? That's probably taught me some really valuable things. I'm really actually quite grateful for that lesson. Thank you. So if you look at it from that perspective, rather than beating yourself up because you've made a mistake, it becomes a gift. Become grateful for it, which is amazing. Right. So I think I've basically said this, but what you're experiencing right now, the lessons that you're experiencing, might not be very pleasant, but they might be preparing you and teaching you skills that you might need in the future, which you'll be very grateful that you learned, possibly. So look at it that way. Just look at it from a different perspective. And then, as I said earlier, be in a slightly different way, but be mindful not to make the same mistakes over and over and over, expecting a different outcome. If you do, become aware of it, forgive yourself, don't beat yourself up, forgive yourself. And then move forwards, go, right, okay, now I might have made that mistake a few times, but I've now learnt what that mistake was trying to teach me, and I'm not going to do it again. If you do, made another mistake, don't worry, you're on that process, you're learning. Forgive yourself, please, please, please forgive yourself. And try to forgive others as well. Now, I know this isn't easy, I know. But if you think that everyone is born pure and honest, okay? People learn how to be hurtful. People learn how to be critical. So how someone is behaving is due, and I think I mentioned this a bit earlier, is due to their own suffering, their own trauma from the past. Okay? So if you can try and learn to be sympathetic with that and be grateful as well that you haven't had what they've experienced to cause this destructive behaviour that they're giving to you, and you don't have to accept that, by the way. If someone's giving you something that you don't want, you don't have to accept it. Okay, so just be... It's that thing, taking a step back from the situation and looking at what's going on. So forgive yourself, forgive others. Someone's attacking you. Do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, if you need to get out of that situation as soon as possible. Or take that breath, stay calm in the situation. And often if you do that, someone's giving you that attacking, whatever they're doing, words, not physical, get out of there. But if they're attacking you verbally, then by taking a step back, and I know it's difficult because I immediately go into anger and all these emotions start coming up, but if you can just let them go and just look at them and just be aware and just observe what they're doing, you could actually see the pain that's coming from that person. You can actually see it, the suffering and the pain that they're going through, and you can feel sympathy. Like, oh my God, and they're trying to give that to you. Don't accept it, stay calm. And if you can learn to do that and stay calm, and I haven't learned to do this in every situation, believe me, but if you can stay calm, they're wanting a reaction. They're either wanting you to join them in that pain, or they're wanting to see the reaction of that pain on you. They're wanting to inflict pain onto you and they want a reaction. If they don't get one, they'll get bored, they'll give up. It's not working. Okay? So, depending on what your situation is regarding forgiving somebody, it might seem impossible at this present moment. You may even refuse to forgive them. But forgiving them, it doesn't mean that what that person has done to you is right. It doesn't mean that, but it basically doesn't mean it. You are forgiving them for what they've done, but you're not saying you're going to forget it or you're going to say, oh yes, you did the right thing. I think that's what kind of you think you're doing when you're forgiving somebody. You're going, oh yes, the behaviour that you gave me was acceptable. No, the behaviour is not acceptable. I do not accept that behaviour. I do not consent to you treating me like that. But I am going to forgive you. I am going to come from a place where I forgive you because I know you are human as well. I know you are learning. And although that other person, it doesn't matter about the other person, it's about you. But that other person, whether they're learning their lessons or whether they're not learning their lessons, you can still forgive. If you take a step back, look at the situation, look at what's going on with that person, rather than feeling you're involved in the situation, separate yourself. And then you can concentrate on you, which is the most important thing. So, by forgiving the other person, by forgiving what's happened in your past, that past event no longer dictates your present. You've distanced yourself from it. You've moved on. It no longer affects your present moment, because while you're holding on to it, while you're resisting, while you're not wanting to forgive, it's got a hold over you. If you forgive, you surrender, you release, then that has gone. It no longer has its hold on you. And that is pretty good. Now, another thing to be very careful of, which I still do, I'm still learning, is judgment. Judgment of yourself and judgment of others. And again, we're taught to do this. We're taught to judge other people. We're taught to divide. So you have to kind of learn to reprogram your thoughts. Just become aware. Every time you criticize somebody, every time you criticize yourself, go, oh, what have I done? I've criticized myself. Forgive yourself, it's fine. Remember, learn, and then replace that with something positive. And go, oh, really, was that me just being a bit, was that the ego kicking in by me being critical? Is that really what I mean? If I'm coming from a place of love, is that really what I want to put out there? Is that really what I want to give to somebody else? Is that really what I want to give to myself? No. Okay, so just be aware of it. Also, look for the good in people. We're taught, look for the bad in people, criticize people. No. Look for the good. Turn your mind around. Just switch it around. Look for the good. Look for the good. That person might be doing stuff that you think isn't good. That person might be doing horrible things. But somewhere, somehow, there's good in there. And if you can find that, then that's one positive thing you've got on that whole outlook. So it's not completely crowded in negativity. Okay, now another emotion that I feel quite a lot is that of being overwhelmed. So again, it's about recognizing that this is happening, recognizing that you're becoming overwhelmed. Take a step back, breathe, become the observer. Feel the stillness of the ground, feel the stillness of the air around you. Calm yourself down, and then just observe, just open your eyes and go, right, what's actually going on here? What are the facts? And organise your thoughts then without the emotion attached to them. If you've got emotion attached to them, it's going to cloud. It's going to cloud your thoughts, okay? And remember that every situation is temporary. Every situation, everything changes. Even if we don't want it to, it does. Things change, things move on. They don't stay the same. Okay, you might feel like they do if you're clinging on to them, but if they don't serve you, then you have to let them go. Let them go. You're thinking, oh, if I hold on to this, it's going to help me. No, if it's not helping you, let it go. Okay? You must move on. You must let them go, because what is waiting for you could be really amazing. But if you're holding on to something in the past, then you're not going to get what's coming up in the future. And when I feel this feeling of overwhelmedness, when I actually do take a step back and go, right, okay, what do I have to do? What have I got in my day? What have I got to fit in? What have I got to do? And if I just step back and look at what I've got to do and then do it, it's perfectly reasonable. And there's more than enough time to fit it in to my day. But because I'm like, oh, my thoughts all over the place and I can't think, oh my God, I've got this to do, I've got to do this. And you get into this state, just be aware, breathe, and then go, right, okay. Forgive yourself. Let that emotion go. Okay, what do I have to do now? And then you probably find that you were getting overwhelmed for no reason. But again, forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. Okay, there's some things in life that you can't control. So surrender to them. Let them come in, go with the flow. But there are some things that you can control, so focus on those. Don't focus on the things and try and control the things you can't control, because it's not going to work. So for example, like in my acting career, for example, but in life as well, if you find that you go to, and this is a metaphor, you go to a door and it's closed, find one that's open. You know, it might be, but the fact that you're trying to go into this door, what is behind that door might not be meant for you. Okay, and it might mean that by going and finding another door, you've had to change and adapt yourself to find that door. And what's behind that door is probably a lot better than what was behind this door. You never know. But if a door's closed, don't keep pushing on it, or find a way around it. And a very, very good thing to practice every day, if you can, is gratitude. Very, very important. So simple thing, like pick, for example, 10 things every day that you feel grateful for. And this can be big or small. I mean, now we can kind of go, oh, yeah, I was grateful I could do that. I was grateful that I can't do it anymore. Doesn't matter. Find something in your life that you're grateful for. Like you're waking up healthy. You've got a body that works, or whatever it is. You've got water. You've got food. You've got a roof over your head. Whatever it is. And some people don't have those things. So whatever it is in your life that you have, just think about it. Take time to make, oh God, yeah. It might seem a bit silly. Oh, well, everyone has access to food and water. No, they don't. Okay, so just be very, very grateful for everything you have in your life. And you don't have to, if you can think of more things, think of more things. You know, just practice being grateful for that. And like I said, we do take things for granted. Automatically we do. We have all these things around us, but we still want more. So just notice what you've got around you, the people around you, the people in your life that love and care about you. Or yourself, you love and care about yourself. That's an amazing gift. Okay, so just be grateful for that. And you must also learn to take responsibility for yourself. Again, I spoke a little bit about this with the blaming thing. Take responsibility for your thoughts and your actions. And when you do this, you'll become empowered. If you blame somebody else, or you go, oh, that wasn't my fault, it might not have been your fault, but go, well, how could I have put a positive spin on that? What could I do in the future to take more responsibility? And then forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself. Everyone's learning. This is a learning process. I've said that a lot, but it's very important. Okay, now, at the same time, you must set boundaries with everyone, with your family, your friends, work colleagues, whatever. You must set boundaries. Now, you already have these boundaries in place. You go, oh, I don't know what my boundaries are. And I thought that for a while. But you do, you have them in place, because when someone steps over those boundaries, you get annoyed, you get angry, you get frustrated, whatever. So that's your boundary. That's where your boundary is. Okay? So try and set those boundaries with other people. Don't let them trample over the boundaries, okay? So if you can stick to that boundary and uphold that boundary, then you're honouring and respecting yourself. And you're living according to your true self as well. And this obviously will result in peace and happiness, which is essentially what we're all after. So if you don't stick, and you probably won't, stick by your boundaries, then again, don't beat yourself up. Forgive yourself, try again. Learn from the experience, move on. It's okay, it's all part of the learning process. And it's like one of my teachers told me, when a baby tries to walk, they don't try and walk, fall over and go, oh, can't do it, that's it, I'm not going to bother. They keep going, they keep trying. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Now, it's good to know that generally in life, what people do is, instead of trying to, this is kind of like a default reaction, instead of trying to make themselves better, they would rather knock somebody else down to make themselves look better. So instead of improving on themselves and moving forward with themselves, they would rather get rid of the competition and make themselves look bigger. And, oh, look how wonderful I am, and I didn't have to do anything apart from hurt somebody or, get rid of somebody else in the competition. Okay, so that's generally, and you probably done it yourself at some point. But again, just be aware of it. Just notice it. Forgive yourself. It's okay. Okay, so just be aware of that in people and see it for what it is. Okay, don't take it personally. Don't think because someone's knocked you down for whatever reason that it's your fault or you are what they say you are. No, you are what you believe you are. Trust yourself. Okay. We have to learn. So all this is learning how to reprogram what we've learned from our past so that we can get rid of stuff that no longer serves us and learn new ways that do serve us, that bring us peace and happiness and joy, and experience the wonderful life that we're meant to experience without all the fear and the pain and the anger. Okay, so I've just kind of put a few things out there that you might want to try. And, be kind with yourself. Just take your time. If you might go, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep doing this exercise every day. It's too stressful. Don't take a break. Take time out and then come back to it. Just be kind with yourself. Life is an ongoing journey. It's lessons that come to us all the time. So by doing these little things, you can hopefully learn to enjoy the process. Okay. And not kind of live a life of suffering. You can learn to go, right, that was a lesson, thank you, I've learned from that, that was amazing. Right, so in the future, this is what's going to happen, and I'm going to control my thoughts and let the emotions come, and I realise it's just an emotion, it's all right, I don't have to worry, it's just an emotion, experience it. And with emotions, we've been programmed to think that crying is a bad thing. Oh, we must stop that person from crying, oh my goodness. Crying is a release of an emotion. It needs to happen. It's necessary. Don't hold it in. If it needs to come out, let it come out. And you might feel embarrassed about doing this in public. And this has happened to me. And actually, when you do, I'm not saying do this, but when you do cry in public and you do cry in front of other people, it's actually really uplifting. And it feels really, really good, especially around people who you can trust as well. So it's really good to let that out. It's not good to cry for days on end or hours and hours. Whatever is bothering you, you need to deal with it. But initially, get rid of that negativity through the crying. It's like a healing process. And then just think about choosing love in every moment. If you can choose love over negativity or fear or whatever in every moment, that's what you're aiming for. Choose love in every moment. And again, it's a process. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and go, oh, I'm just going to choose love in every moment and it's fine. Like a magic wand. It's not going to work like that. Okay, just be patient with yourself. That's another thing. Be patient. I know I find that difficult. And just remember that by being alive, being here, that is a miracle in itself. You go, oh no, is it? No, there's loads of people alive. No, it is. The odds that had to come together for you to be here, because conception alone is a miracle when you think about it, when you break it down. Okay, there's billions of people on this planet, okay? Everyone is a miracle. Everyone is unique. Everyone. There's no one exactly like you. There never will be, there never has been. You are unique. You might be similar to somebody, but you're not the same. So you matter. You are important. Remember that. You matter. You are important. No matter what anybody tries to tell you. It's what you believe, okay? Never forget that. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to experience a wonderful life filled with joy and happiness, excitement, peace of mind, whatever you want. That's what you deserve. You don't get told this, but you do. You deserve to live a wonderful, happy life. And if you can act through love as much as possible, if someone gives you fear, if someone gives you anger, negativity, if you can react to that with love, you can fix the world. It's amazing. You can't, if you try and retaliate with fear, with anger, whatever, it's not going to fix the problem. I've had many arguments through my lifetime with different people. And whether or not you think you come out of the argument winning it or not, nobody really wins. Everyone's upset, everyone's angry, everyone's frustrated. Or even if you come out of the argument going, oh, I won that, it's fine. Oh, you've still gone through all that negativity to get there. It's arguing is horrible. And as much as you think, and this is only from my experience that I've realised this, it doesn't matter how much you argue with somebody. Yes, you can have a discussion and talk things through. That's not the same. But when you argue with somebody and you've got that fear and anger bashing against each other, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Nobody wins. So give love instead. If you see a fear, whatever, coming towards you, give love back. Okay? Give love out anyway. And just remember, on a finishing note, that you are not your past. Your past does not define you. You are not your body. That does not define who you are. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. All those things, they do not define who you are. You're pure energy. If you do meditation or just take a moment and you feel that energy in your heart, that life force inside you, that pure innocence, that energy, that's you. That's who you are. You're not any of these other things. You're not your mistakes. You're love. That's what you were born. You were born love, and that's what you are. Despite all the experiences that have come to you, you're still love. It's there. You are love. That's who you really are. I'll leave that with you, and I wish you all the best.